and what enables you and not disables you. Third, as we get in this review, it's time to make a shift. How do we do that? We use that vision. You have one and you know it better than anyone else. And you use that vision to not only do more, but to be more. Because we're not just humans doing, we are humans being. As we talked about at the beginning, the next step along that path might not be forward or upward, but the next step to progression might be inward. Inward to really see who you are, to understand that vision that God has given you, to develop those talents, those gifts that will keep you moving along life's path as you move into fulfilling that purpose and that vision that is in your heart. And with that, we'll get into the next part, which is today's discussion. Once we have that vision in place, many times we like to discredit ourselves. I talked a little bit last week about how this happens, and that is we simply tell ourselves we are not enough. We are but grasshoppers in the sight of the giants that stand in our way. We're not worthy of God speaking to us face to face. So instead, we elect to have a representative who will speak to God and then speak to us. We are naked and ashamed because of something that happened in our life or something that we have done. We are Zacchaeus sitting up high in that tree where we hope to get a better view and at the same time hope that the leaves and the shrouding will keep us from being noticed by everyone else around. We tell ourselves we are not enough for this or that. We excuse ourselves right out of our own very vision and purpose for being. We excuse ourselves out of an opportunity to grow into the vision that God has put in our hearts. And with this, I want to say congratulations. For what? You are stumbling into a new truth right now, something that you've probably thought about. It's been in the back of your head. It's been in your thoughts for a long time, but you just never really realized it. A truth that very well could blow your mind. And that is maybe, just maybe, you are not supposed to be enough for something. Maybe you're not supposed to be enough for that thing that you keep trying to push into, because that's something that you're trying to get into, that place you're trying to go, that thing that isn't really part of your vision. Maybe that is not enough for you. Let me say that again. You are not supposed to be enough for something if that something is not enough for you. Sometimes you need a door to close. So the better door, the right door, has enough room and is visible enough for you to see open. So that better path for what is coming in your life for you to be and do can be made more visible. Maybe a no that you heard from something you really wanted to do made zero sense at the time. And maybe that happened in order for you to walk into the yes for your life. What if I told you that sometimes you might be facing a rejection because that is really a protection, and that protection was helping you and giving you redirection for the purpose and vision that God already has for your life? It doesn't matter what has happened. It doesn't matter your age, your social status, what you do for a living, or whatever else seemingly is a limit or a loss. Sitting here before you at the age of 49 years young, I am telling you, your life is not over. Your life is just beginning. My life didn't end when I was very young and I lost a baby sister to being stillborn before I even got to meet her. Never even got to know who Sarah was. My life didn't end when my mom passed away from a very invasive cancer that rock the world and everything that I knew to be true at the age of 18, 19 years old. My life did not end when my youngest son was diagnosed with autism. And my life certainly did not end when the last place that I worked at prior to the pandemic abruptly changed course and dissolved the position that I had because of what happened in 2020. Those things happened. They weren't ideal. They weren't perfect. Definitely didn't want them to go that way. But like anything else worthwhile, it's something that, you can make part of you and help to make your resilience stronger instead of allowing it to be a roadblock and changing the direction or your perception of what life is really all about. I tell you this because you are one choice away from a new beginning, and you are one commitment away from a renewed life. You need to believe that in your heart, and hearing it, as ironic as this next statement is, hearing it alone is not enough. So I want you to take a moment right now and repeat after me what I just said. I am a choice away from a new beginning, and I am a commitment away from a renewed life. I am a choice away from a fresh start, and I am a commitment away from renewing my life. Now for part 5. God has designed a unique vision for every one of us. It is tailor-made for the potential and the purpose and the vision that we already have in our lives. I like to think of this as like when I go to the eye doctor. The eye doctor works with me to find a very specific prescription for my sight, tailor-made for what I need to be able to see. That is why Myca and I have been doing the gathering, why she started this, why this has been burning in her heart, and why we started Firebrands, and why the gathering is so important to us to continue to do, regardless if we have 220 or 200 people with us on any given Sunday. It's about helping you to clearly see the vision God has for your life. That's why setting the course has been such an important topic for us to be covering since the beginning of this year. It's about giving detail to the vision of what is in your future. It's about bringing clarity to choices you are coming closer to facing every day. It's about comprehending and embracing all the good things that God has placed right underneath your fingers at this very moment. Now, how God reveals and illuminates that vision will be different for every one of us. There are parts that may work the same, parts that might look very similar, as parts of the growth that sprout, that flourish. There might be even some directions that work the same, but it's not a cookie cutter pattern. Just because your growth looks different than his growth or my growth or Myca's growth or their growth doesn't mean it is not growth. It's not a cookie cutter pattern for you to be able to fulfill the vision and purpose in your life. That's why sometimes we like reading these biographies. We like hearing about how people went through this, how they rose up, what helped them to continue on, because it inspires us to find that very passion, that path in our lives. During the pandemic, I did this very same thing. I had a podcast where I talked with some of my good friends who are musicians who made it to different statures in life, whether they were in multiple groups, doing stuff, whether they were going on world tours or whether they were just happy benefiting the people in their own backyard. That was to inspire and encourage during a very dire time in our nation, during a very dire time where all of us lived. But much like the glasses my wife wears versus the glasses I wear, if I tried using her glasses and her prescription to help my vision, to help me to see, it just wouldn't work. I'd become disoriented and dizzy throughout the day. And by the end of that day, I would have a massive headache. But those glasses that don't work for me, my wife Myca takes, and she puts them on, and everything is clear. She can see what she needs to out ahead of her. She can see what she's working on right in front of her. She can see what she needs to do in the area surrounding her. The things she needs are clear because of that vision, because of that prescription, because of that understanding in her life. Now, how many times have we taken a prescribed vision that's made expressly for us, made expressly for you, and decided you really didn't need it? And instead we take those off and we sit them over here on the shelf because. Or what if we take that and we give it to a family member? We give it to friends. We give it to coworkers or bosses. They can't use it. They can't see it like we do. So when they go to put on your vision, it's all it is for them sometimes is foggy. They kind of get an idea. It's blurry. It's not very totally there for them. It's unclear. So when you take the vision back after you've shared it with them, letting them know do you let them know it's okay that they don't see it your way? Or instead of doing that, do we just take it, put it in our little protective case, slip it back into our pocket, safely away where it won't be seen by others, where it can't be hurt, where it can't be harmed? Do we go down life's road not using the very vision that was meant for us to live? Do we end up becoming like the two disciples on the road to Emmaus, where they were so blinded by the hurt, by what had transpired that had happened, that they just couldn't see that right there with them was the Son of Man, the Son of God, Jesus, telling them about all the things and why they happened and why they had to happen, only to get to their destination, realizing he was there with them all along, the moment that he went to eat with them and broke bread. So does life become unclear for us and uncertain all because we expected someone else to see our potential and our purpose? Or are we trying to see a vision that was not designed for them? And in doing so, it became unclear to us because of their doubt, because of their disability to understand. And as we walk in this life, in our own purposes, not everyone will understand or see it fully the way we do. They won't understand all the parts. And that's okay, because it's not for them. My friends, it's for you. If you spend any time out there in the streets, you know that the majority of this world lacks faith. They have to see it to believe it. Oh, they'll put up a good game, but still, they want something tangible. They want the present. They want the fact. They want it now. The truth is out there somewhere, and it can stay out there for as far as most of the world is concerned. But we know differently, because we know that faith is having vision in the unseen. We know that having that vision, that knowing it is time to walk the journey, that it is time for us to be setting our course, that it is time to trust the vision given to you. Then it will be time, and only then you will be able to share your purpose in the world. Once you know and you grasp by faith that this vision is for an appointed time, it won't be late. It'll be exactly on time for you, and it will mature. But we have to keep it in front of us. We can't just wish it into being. We have to purposefully move towards it. We have to ready ourselves. We have to practice the things that make that vision clearer and clearer until we know we can make it a reality in our own lives. Now, your life today may not be exactly where you want. Everything around you, as I said earlier, doesn't have to be perfect. The wind doesn't need to blow calmly through the grass in the right direction with those beautiful little birds chirping their little songs outside. The sun just peering right off the corner there through the clouds, just ever so gently. You do not need any of that to get started, to restart, or to follow the vision that is already in you. If you were to take a moment and ask any child if they're coloring with their favorite crayon and it breaks, what do? They will tell you that just because the crayon broke, everything's still okay. Because even a broken crayon will still color the same way as if it wasn't. Think about that for a moment. Even a broken crayon can still color. Even if things seem to be a little broken in life, it doesn't mean they're useless, that they have to be discarded. It doesn't mean that you are broken. Keep coloring in that vision. Keep coloring in your story. Keep working towards fulfilling your purpose, your vision, your destiny. Do your best to not back down. And even if you do, don't stay down. What matters is how many times you get back up, not how many times you fall. The Bible even says, even though a man stumbles and falls, that the Lord will be there to pick him up. When you are being honorable, when you are purposefully doing what God has given you to do in life, even if things are a little rough getting there, keep going. He is with you. He is a friend that sticks closer than a brother, and he will not leave you or forsake you. So it's not about how many times you fall or how big you fall. It's about your mentality. It's about turning that dream, the vision, into reality. You need to take a moment and you need to speak life into your life. That's why it was so important earlier that I wanted you to repeat that after me about what God said, and that is that you are one choice away from a new beginning and one commitment away from a renewed life. Think for a moment about people like Abraham or Moses, Joseph, David, Solomon. Let's think about some contemporary people like George Washington, Albert Einstein, even Walt Disney. They all are legends in one way or another. They're all bigger than life, seemingly. And that's because a legend is nothing more than an ordinary person like you or me with extraordinary determination. They didn't stay down when the chips were down. Abraham Lincoln ran for president more than once and was defeated. He ran for a House Senate and he was defeated. He had a nervous breakdown, and yet he became one of the most well-known, if not respected, presidents in the history of the United States of America, because he had extraordinary determination. That same seed of extraordinary determination lives in you because God is with you, because the Holy Spirit is in you, guiding you and leading you into all truth, telling you whether you turn to the left or to the right, this is the way, walk in it. As we close up here, I want to remind you, I want to tell you, don't regret the chances you didn't take. Life, there's always, you could have gone left or right, whatever. What's important is that you find the faith and the courage to take the next chance when you know that it's helping you with that vision to move along that path. The only person who's ever going to limit you fully is yourself. And a door that doesn't open does not stop the next one from doing so. A door that doesn't open doesn't stop the next one from being the right one or from opening. That's why you've got to knock and keep on knocking. That's what the Bible tells us. One of the many things, just like not being afraid. All the verses, Myca mentioned that a few weeks ago in one of hers, is that there are literally 365 verses throughout to say, do not be afraid, fear not. Do not have anxiety, take no fear. One for every day of the year. I'm telling you, don't surrender to your struggle. Make the struggle you're facing right now surrender to you. Never settle for good enough when you know greatness is right next door. Always remember that you are a child of God and you are an heir of the promise. You are highly favored. Now, more than just being something I'm telling you, I was reminded of this myself when I was transitioning into a new opportunity where I now work in November. I work on a floor at a store where we do sales, and everybody else who was on the team right now had already been able to be out on the floor, meeting customers, being able to build their repertoire, being able to build that camaraderie for a few months before I was able to be out there full time. Now, why am I telling you that? Because as of right now, this month, this is going to be my 5th month as the top salesperson for the store, for the company. It's just how it's going. Now, I know what I'm good at. I see clearly how to help customers with exactly what they need. I know how to help them understand what's going on, what to choose, what not to choose, why. But more than that, I come alongside them and I help to see and understand what they want and what they're wanting to achieve in their goals. I even had a customer come in who was going to buy something, and instead he got something from online and brought it in to show me. I'm like, man, that's great. That's going to work just good enough for what you need. There's no reason to replace it. You did good with what you found. And he was actually so ecstatic about that he bought an equal amount of stuff and accessories to go along with the item he'd already purchased. And all I did was affirm and be honest with him and be real. Sure, I might have lost out in a little bit, but it was more important to me that he was encouraged and that he knew that everything was good that he'd done. It was all right. And still, it worked out to my advantage. Now, I don't try to beat anybody else on the team when it comes to doing what I do, to selling stuff. I just simply put my vision into practice, and that is to help people. I was told a long time ago in a word line that I would be paid for winning souls. I look at that more globally than just as being an evangelist. I look at that as helping people to achieve what they want to do in life. That's one of the reasons why I started doing leadership coaching, because I want to help people achieve. And if I'm helping them and I'm getting paid for it, then technically I'm getting paid for winning souls. My wife is an amazing teacher, and she found a good vocation at this time being a teacher in a Spanish immersion school. And she helps plant the seed for growing life in every one of those children she meets, regardless how well they really seem to be paying attention or not. Matter of fact, she was just paid honor by one student who was one of the first ones to be in the program that just graduated this year. And he made mention to her of how important and how pivotal her teaching and what she was as a teacher in his life was for him. Because she was using the vision and purpose that was already in her heart to help somebody else. That's what we do here, the Gathering and Firebrands. It's our vision to help people, and that comes in many forms. You can't just limit it to what the world thinks is a way it works. That's where the trouble sets in. That's when we start to measure ourselves by others. That's when our vision becomes dim. That's when things start getting fuzzy and unclear. Best of all, even though with what I'm doing right now and how good it's going, I know this isn't the last step for what I want to do in life and for what I will be doing. It's not what I'm going to be doing in 5 years. It's not the vision God's given me for my life. What I'm doing right now isn't perfect, but it is sustaining. God is meeting me because I am using my purpose, my gift, my talents, my vision. And he's meeting me, and it's allowing me to not only help others, but it's also providing for my family and for the life that we have and the life we want to live. It cares for my family and me, all because I am using it and I am seeing my vision. I am seeing my purpose. I want you to see your vision. I want you to see your purpose. When a destination is worth heading to, the path won't always be perfect, but it is worth it. Whatever you have faced or facing right now might not be perfect, but the vision God has placed in your heart, the gifts and the talent he has put in these hands, in your mind, in your spirit, the purpose he gave you is for your life. Pick up that vision. Let that no we talked about, that closed door, make it clear that it wasn't for you, that it wasn't good enough for you. But you are good enough for your vision. You are good enough for your purpose. Let it be reignited by that passion in your heart. Pick up those broken crayons like a child and color in those missing pieces of your vision. Bring life and clarity to what God has given you for your life. At this moment, I'm going to pause and open up for Myca or anybody else who'd like to take a moment and chime in on what I've started with today.
What an excellent reminder for all of us to not despise those small beginnings, and to really realize that every step that we take on this journey brings us closer and closer to the reality that God wants for us, to that. I don't want to call it a perfect picture, because I really believe that perfect doesn't exist. It's a myth. Perfect is paralyzing and holds us back, when in reality, what God's design has for us is more akin to an evolution than a perfection. We are ever changing, converting from glory to glory. It's a process of unveiling and unfolding that our lives are ever just progressing in. And that really should give us some peace. It should give us the freedom to fall forward or fail forward, to borrow some phrases from other people who have worked on coaching, and definitely totally, again, tying into the Abrahamic journey, where Abram and Sarai, where they started out was the land that God was giving to them. They just hadn't realized it yet, hadn't recognized it, hadn't embraced it yet. And they required a journey of experiences to help them to truly see themselves as the father of nations and the mother of nations. So thank you again for gracing us with your wisdom and the just down to earth, the real world applications of all the wonderful things that, and not so wonderful things, that our lives have brought us through.
Right? Absolutely. So for those who are with us today, we're going to take time now to have private discussion in our Zoom room. Those of you who want to have access to this after discussion starter meeting that we do, we encourage you to get a hold of us through gathering@firebrands.com. You can go to gathering@firebrands616.com.
Okay.
You can go there. Also, just to firebrands616.com. There's a place where you should be able to drop us a note as well. We'd love to have you be a part of this after video discussion, and also to be a part of our monthly get-togethers that we do live and in person. We know you can't always make it that way, so we want to have this Zoom room open for those of you who are in different cities, different states, even somewhere else in the world, just to be able to be a part of what we're doing here at the gathering. Because your success is God's success. In reality, you're being able to complete that vision that God has in your heart benefits everybody in the kingdom.
True.
And we look forward to returning next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to continue setting the course. And my name is Dave. My amazing wife, Myca, is the one who's started this group, this discussion, and keeps the fire going and keeps the torch moving along. We want to thank you for being a part of this, for chiming in, for watching the stream, and for coming back and being with us again in the weeks to come. We call you blessed, and we say that your vision and purpose is a reality, and we look forward to seeing it fulfilled in your life.